Hey everyone, check out this button. This is a modern Glassmorphism button with glow effects. When I hover, you can see a smooth lift, soft shadow, and animated border flow. The light effect comes from pure CSS, no JavaScript, no libraries. And when I click, the button gives a subtle press feedback with a green glow. In this video, I'll show you how I built this button step by step using HTML and CSS. Alright, now that you've seen the final result, let's break down how this button is actually built. This is step 1, where we focus only on the HTML structure. On the left side, you can see the actual HTML code. We are using the button element, which is a clickable block level element in HTML. The button has a class called NXBTN. This class does not change anything visually right now, but it will be used later as a CSS selector to apply styling and hover effects. Inside the button, we have a span element with the text, hover me. The span is an inline element, and it is used here to wrap the button text so we can control and animate the text separately using CSS. On the right side, you can see a clear breakdown of each part. The button as a clickable element, the class for styling, the span for text control, and hover me as the button label. Right now, this is just the foundation. In the next step, we'll use CSS to turn this simple structure into a modern, interactive button. This section is called root. In CSS, the root selector represents the global scope. Any variables defined here are available throughout the entire style sheet. On the left side, we define our design tokens using CSS custom properties. NXBG controls the main background color of the interface. NX Glow is used for glow or neon effects, helping create a futuristic visual style. NX Accent defines the accent color, usually used for active states or highlights. NX Text sets the default text color, ensuring readability and consistency. NX Glass uses an RGBA value to create a Glassmorphism effect with subtle transparency. And finally, NX Ease defines a custom cubic Bezier curve, which controls how smooth and natural our animations feel. By organizing colors and animation values in the root, we create a scalable, maintainable, and professional design system. In the next step, we'll start applying these variables to our button styles. This is step 2, where we style the body element. The body acts as the main container for the entire page. First, we set min height to 100 viewport height, which ensures the layout always takes the full screen height. Next, we use display flex to enable Flexbox. This allows us to align and position elements easily. Justify content, center centers the content horizontally, and align items, center centers it vertically. Together, these properties perfectly center our button on the screen. For the background, we use a radial gradient, creating a dark, subtle gradient that adds depth to the UI. Finally, we set the font family to Inter with a system fallback, giving the interface a clean and modern look. With this step complete, our layout is ready and centered, and we can now focus on styling the button itself. This is step 3, where we define the base styles for the button. We start by targeting the NXBTN class, which is the main selector for our button component. The button is set to position relative. This is important because it allows us to add inner layers and glow effects later. Padding controls the size of the button, giving it a balanced and comfortable clickable area. For the background, we use var NX Glass, creating a Glassmorphism style transparent surface. The text color is set using var NX Text to maintain consistency across the UI. A subtle semi-transparent border and rounded corners give the button a soft, modern shape. We also set the cursor to pointer, clearly indicating that the button is clickable. Overflow, hidden ensures that glow effects stay inside the button boundary. The backdrop filter, blur property adds a realistic glass blur effect behind the button. A smooth transition is applied using our custom easing curve, so all hover animations feel natural. Finally, the box shadow is set to an inactive state, which will later animate into a glowing effect on hover. With the base styles complete, the button is now ready for interactive effects in the next step. This is step 4, where we style the text layer inside the button. We target the span element using NXBTN span, which allows us to control the button text independently. The text is set to position relative, so that z-index can work properly. A z-index value of 2 ensures the text always stays above glow effects and background layers. The font size is set to 16 pixels, keeping the text clean and readable. We use a font weight of 600, which gives the text a semi-bold and confident appearance. Letter spacing adds space between each character, giving the button a modern, premium feel. This step ensures that the text remains sharp, visible, and layered correctly, even when hover and glow effects are applied in the next step. Now we move to step 5, where we create the glow border effect. For this, we use the before pseudo element on the button. The content property is set to an empty string, which creates an extra visual layer without adding new HTML. We use position absolute so this layer can sit perfectly over the button. The inset value is set to -1 pixel, making the glow slightly larger than the button edges. A linear gradient background is used to create a dynamic glowing line around the border. The opacity is set to 0 by default, keeping the glow hidden initially. Finally, a smooth transition is added, so the glow fades in naturally during hover. This step gives the button its futuristic, neon-style border effect. Now let's move to step 6, where we add a subtle inner light effect inside the button. Here, we use the after pseudo element to create an extra visual layer. The content property is kept empty, which allows us to add this effect without changing the HTML structure. With position absolute and inset 0, the light layer fits perfectly inside the button. A radial gradient is applied, creating a soft glow that starts from the top and fades outward. The opacity is set to 0.4, keeping the glow subtle and not overpowering. Finally, pointer events is set to none, ensuring this visual layer does not block button clicks. This inner light adds depth and enhances the futuristic look of the button. Now in step 7, we add the hover interaction to make the button feel alive. When the user hovers over the button, the transform property moves it slightly upward using translate y, -4px. At the same time, scale, 1.03, makes the button a little bigger, creating a smooth lift and zoom effect. Next, we apply a box shadow to enhance the glow. The outer shadow adds a neon aura around the button, while the inset shadow creates a soft glow inside it. Together, these effects give the button a floating, futuristic feel and provide clear visual feedback on hover. Now in step 8, we animate the glowing border. When the button is hovered, the before pseudo element becomes visible by setting opacity to 1. At the same time, we start the NX flow animation. This animation runs for 1.4 seconds, uses a linear timing function, and repeats infinitely while the hover state is active. This creates a smooth and continuous glow movement. Inside the keyframes, the glow starts from the left side using translatex, -100%. Then it moves all the way to the right using translatex, 100%. Because the background is a linear gradient, this movement looks like an energy line flowing around the button border, giving it a futuristic neon effect. Now in step 9, we add the active click effect. When the button is clicked, the active state is triggered. The button slightly scales down using scale, 0.96, which creates a natural press effect, just like a real physical button. At the same time, we apply a tighter box shadow with a green glow. This glow gives instant visual feedback that the click action is registered. This final step completes the interaction cycle: hover, flow animation, and click feedback, making the button feel responsive, polished, and premium. And that's it for this button design. In just a few steps, we turned a simple HTML button into a modern, animated, neon-style UI component using only CSS. If you found this helpful, hit the like button, subscribe for more UI and CSS tutorials, and let me know in the comments what component you want to see next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.